Hey guys, it's Mitch. How's it going? We're back for some more Blood Force. This is page 15 of issue 3. And yeah, since it's a weekend, we must be Blood Force time. Obviously, I do these page commentaries on Saturdays, but in case you don't know, I also do live streams. This is what the page commentaries are based on. So, I mean, if you haven't checked one out, I will be putting one up tomorrow. Hopefully. Tomorrow actually is a bit in question, but probably at some point anyway. So just before we get into this, we should do the necessaries. If you enjoy the channel, if you feel like you might want to help out a little bit, what you can do is in the description, there's a link to my Patreon. And if you subscribe there, that'll give you access to everything I do, from the Blood Force pages like this, to the YouTube videos also like this, before they get uploaded to YouTube. There's also some Patreon exclusive content. And let's talk about the page now. I think that's everything we need. All right, so this is, we're done with Popo, aren't we? For now. He'll come back again towards the end of the issue. But this is, we're gearing up for the fight scene. It's gonna happen. I mean, it's gotta happen at some point, right? We haven't had a fight scene since like page 6, I want to say. And that was like, that was mostly, was that even a fight, really? Yeah, kinda. It was more of a restraining, if anything. This one's going to be an actual fight. It'll go on for a couple pages at least. So we're getting, and this is just going to be Hawkstab too. It's always good to get a Hawkstab fight in there. You get lots of like leaping around and swinging randomly. So first we've got to do a little bit of exposition because there's never, I don't know. I've got a problem with just like getting into a fight scene for no reason. I can't. I try, but I can't. So you got to have a good reason to get into a fight scene. So on this particular page, that's an expression. Kind of like how that one turned. I think the end result I actually wasn't as big of a fan of. But this one in particular is going to be Hawkstab talking to Shockblock over the communicators, because they've discovered, they were able to decipher some stuff from the, the data cache, the Spasm data cache from the original conflict in issue 1. And they weren't able to decipher much, but what they were able to find was a signal that was being received by one of the offices at the UN. And but they couldn't track the original source, but they can at least give Hawkstab and Maxtremus something to investigate here. A lot of big panels on this page. I don't usually do this kind of like splitting it up into 4 and then just going, but yeah. So we're still going to be mostly standing talking on this one. Which, I mean, at least lets me do some figure work and some expressions, which is the stuff I actually kind of enjoyed doing. Although, I mean, the fights are some of the most fun stuff, if not the most. And we got the gag here where Hawkstab can't hit his communicator. His communicator, for Christ's sake. His communicator, I suppose, is that big jewel thing on his chest there. I may find additional uses for it. Oh, didn't realize that, yeah, there we go. No, I did. Yeah, you can't really have those little Coke can things folding over the forum. I assume I erased the top ones here too. I kind of, maybe that doesn't need to. That forum looks a little bit skinny, but that's okay. Anyway. Since he can't just, like, press it, because he's got those blades, he's got to, like, karate chop his chest. And still finding new ways to render torsos here. Kind of trying to work in some slightly more realistic musculature. Not too realistic, because that's not super fun. You got to get those extra muscles in there somewhere. But yeah, so I'm learning a bit more about lats and obliques and seeing what I can do about that. It's an interesting look, at least, and I'd kind of enjoy getting that a bit more accurate and defined. Kind of need to do, like work on this kind of stuff, considering all the standing around talking stuff I've been doing. I'm starting to script issue 4 now. I'm going to try and keep it in mind to get a fair amount of action in there. I think actually it shouldn't be too hard. That one I think should be mostly action. Well, I guess we'll see. Right now I haven't done much beyond like scripting, I don't know, the first 3 or 4 pages, like very roughly. Yeah, that thing I'm doing with Max Streamus's hair, it's like, I feel like the first couple of times I did that, where it's just kind of like streaks, that turned out better than what I've been doing lately. I'm not sure what the difference is. Maybe I should get those original ones out. Yeah, just throw on all sorts of textures. Yeah, this expression here I wasn't as big a fan of. I think I like the first one better. Oh well. I mean, it's still fine. It's not like there's anything wrong with it. It's just not as, I don't know, appropriate or funny, I suppose. That hair is just getting out of control. All right. And yeah, always got to remember the blades are always, pretty much always going to be in frames somewhere. One thing I'm going to try to work on is getting more shadows. Man, my head just keeps popping in a frame there, doesn't it? Yeah, getting more shadows on the, I don't know. It's almost like TV lighting a lot of the time with very basic shadows. And I want to try and get it a bit more dramatic looking. I mean, this is fairly dramatic, so I guess I can't complain too much. All the teeth in the world. Love that shit. I keep getting a little bit, further and further away from the original, image parody thing, and then every once in a while you got to bring it back with stuff like 30 teeth on the jaw there. Just like Liefeld. Yeah, these large close-ups on faces, like they're fun and everything. It's just a little hard to fill up sometimes, except if you do lots of shadows. So again, another reason for that kind of thing. It does mean you have to do more detail on the hair, although that didn't end up looking too bad, I think. I did kind of fold him up a bit too much here. I'm not sure. Yeah, it kind of looks like he's scrunching up that right shoulder there. I don't know if anybody else would see it, though, so it might be okay. Oh, right, and I think this part here... Oh, I was going to say, I think I decided yeah, I did too. I decided the perspective on those beams in the top there weren't any good. And yeah, so I had to fix it. Okay. It's funny, looking at it now, I'm like, I'm not sure what I thought the problem was, but we'll see if the finished version ends up looking better. I think it probably will. I do remember being a little happier with it by the end. Yeah, I hate doing a tiny picture of Shock Block. A big close-up I got no problem with. But yeah, no, stuff like this, I don't know. I can't get enough detail in there. You can always use smaller pens, I suppose. And these are just shots of Shock Block, yeah, looking at a computer. So there won't be too many shots of him in this. particular sequence, because that is some boring ass shit. I'd rather do shots of Hawkstab making faces. Yeah, that turned out okay. I tend to, with the smaller shots, I tend to have difficulty proportioning the jaw properly. That one at least turned out all right. They tend to usually have smaller chins, but I think I was keeping it in mind on that one. I think I had to look up what Shockblock's outfit looked like again, because I just don't use him very much right now. I feel like he's one of the ones who gets used the least in this particular arc. Maybe like him and Fireburn. And while I'm okay with Fireburn not getting used very much, because I dislike that guy intensely. Shockblock, you know, I do want to have a bigger role. But he will have much more focus in the second story arc, which, as far as I know, should be roughly issue 6 through 9. Yeah, see, that Hawkstab head right below him, that didn't end up looking right at all. I don't know. And yeah, just fake in some tech. Always faking tech. The problem with doing one of these superhero things, I mean, you can do a superhero thing with no tech, but I mean, not this particular one where it's like government funded and you're ripping off like X-Men and Youngblood and Wildcats and all that shit. You got to have that tech in there. And you just kind of got to hope. Like, you know, I try not to go too heavy on the detail, because that's the kind of thing that it after a while it just becomes obvious what you're doing. And she's like, no, you're just trying to fill the page. I can tell. I think I was working off of Silvestri references for this particular tech wall here. Doesn't look too bad. And you gotta hope that the colorist can fill in the bits so that it just kind of like makes sense afterwards. Yeah, I think I'm trying to freehand here because Marc Silvestri does. That's not really a good enough reason. I mean, like, you know, he does it because he's good at it. And, oh, shit, we're actually kind of, this is the last panel of this bit, I guess. So this is Hard trying to hone in. Hone in? No. Horn in would be more appropriate, particularly for Hard. On Shockblock's hacking gig. Because that's Shockblock's whole deal, is that he's a world-class hacker. Only Hard throwing Cyberzerk into the Spasm data cache was what unlocked the Spasm data cache, because naturally, right? If you want a thing to work better, you hit it with something, like a dude with cyber dreads. So now Hard has decided that he is the hacking expert at Blood Force. And yeah, just sticking his big old stupid hand in and poking at the keyboard. Here, let me show you how a real man hacks. That kind of thing. Not a bad hand. I've been working on the hands lately. Just trying to add a bit more, because I tend to leave them a little undetailed. And of course, every time Hard speaks, pretty much, he has to yell. Shockblock looks like he could use a thicker outline there. I wonder if I picked that up. Probably, right? Ugh, more of this fucking text shit. I think this is one of the longer pages to draw. This one ended up being, like 5.5. That's not too bad. And like stuff like panel 3 and panel 5 there, the Hawkstab close-ups, that certainly helped. Those aren't exactly difficult. It's the other 3 where it's like, oh god, it just stretches it out forever. Anytime I got to do tech, it's like, well, you know, you're still drawing the same amount of lines. No, not really. I mean, I am drawing more, and it's, I don't know, just like everything has to be measured. You got to use a template for everything. It's exhausting. Yeah, just kind of throw in some buttons here. Mostly freehand. Again, just kind of seeing if I can, get anywhere with that. Nope, I think I'm drawing below the, yep, I am too. Shouldn't take too long at least. Yeah, picking that one up. And I got to specifically throw in some large buttons for hard to press, considering he has hands larger than most people's heads. Dude, like, check your fucking monitor every once in a while. Find out whether or not you're actually on camera when you're drawing. Apparently, I had no idea. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't end up looking too bad. Okay, so what does this end up looking like? Yeah, okay. I mean, I think either one, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw something that I'm just not seeing now. It seemed like it was okay, but yeah, no, this probably does look better. All right. And that is it for page 15 of issue 3. Yeah, so inching closer to some interesting stuff to draw. Not the next page. I still haven't finished drawing the next page. Currently, as I'm recording this, it's Friday night, like Friday the 15th. So I'm putting this thing up tomorrow, which isn't so much putting things off, I don't think, although these usually don't take too long. It's more just, I don't know. I don't know if I'm not managing my schedule well enough or like what. It feels like everything is kind of catching up on me where I'm barely staying ahead of it. Luckily, next week I've got off. So I should be able to create a bit of a buffer again. But yeah, hopefully I get to do tomorrow's. I'm meeting family in town, so if I get back in time, it'll be a late live stream. If not, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it on Monday because, like I said, I've got that off now. But that's going to be a fun page to do. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys there. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you know when the next one's coming out. Go subscribe on my Patreon. That'll give you access to everything I do, from the Blood Force stuff to the YouTube videos before they go out to YouTube, as well as some Patreon exclusive content. You can also follow me on Instagram and DM me there for commissions. I'll probably get a drawing or two out on Instagram this coming week. Probably. At least one, I would think. I'm going to try and make that a priority. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.